played yourself. All right, here we go. We are going right. It says go live. Are we live? Oh, looks like. Okay, go live right now. We're live. Here we go.
We ready right now.
Yeah.
All I know is this violates every canon of respectable broadcasting.
How are you?
Hey, who wants to help me get this recorder out of here? I need some muscle over here.
You are listening to Blame Your Brother.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back, everyone, to Blame Your Brother, episode 277. We are back, and my God, we have so many things to talk about tonight. We missed last week. Maybe we'll get short explanation why. I had a birthday, and the news is crazy this week, and we're doing tonight in honor of our favorite actor, one of our favorites, Nicolas Cage. We're doing the Mount Rushmore of actors who have played themselves in a movie. So we'll explain all that second half of the show if you hang around for the Mount Rushmores. There you go. But like I said, we got a lot to talk about, and I can't wait to get to it. So we're just going to go ahead and get started. We stream the show every Thursday night, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Come hang out with us as we do that. There are two of us that come to you. I'm one half of that duo. I am David, a.k.a. D-Brew, Voice People, Glenn Jackson, Spiritual Midget. And this gentleman sitting over to my left, it is John.
Hey, everybody, John here, a.k.a. Tico, a.k.a. Mr. Groupon, Mr. PTI, the Madman.
They got John Tortorella, a madman.
They do have madman.
Okay, he's a madman.
All right. So, yes, David, John, we're here. So let's get on it. So I'll let you start, John. So we missed last week. Do you want to get into why?
Yeah, I can.
Because I will say we had a few listeners. They were, because you mentioned this before, the reason before, as you get in the story, you talked about it. And we had a few that were like genuinely checking on you. They were genuinely concerned. Okay.
I give mass praise to those people. It really intensifies the belief that I have in this podcast that we have a community and it's not just us two.
That's true. I agree with that.
And it's not like, I mean, we're not blowing up or anything, but the fact that we're small, we do have those connections with our listeners that I'm glad we do have.
Amen.
But as most of you have known, I had a scare with there was a spot on my pancreas that they found on a CT, and so I had to go get an MRI, and just waiting for those results to come through. And
now hold on. What is an MRI? Is that when you go in the tunnel?
Yeah.
Were you freaking out? Like I've heard people say like that's claustrophobic.
If you do suffer from claustrophobia, you wouldn't make it.
What do you mean you won't? I suffer from claustrophobia. What would you do? You just close your eyes and pray? What's going on?
I mean,
wait a minute.
It's like, it's loud. It feels like you're in there with like jackhammers, and literally, I mean, the top of this, I don't know how somebody big has to get one.
The athletes have to get their own, right?
They'd have to, because this thing, I'm not a big guy, and I was just like.
And you were in there like stacked.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And it felt like the tunnel was probably maybe like 4 or 5 inches above my nose, like the top of it.
Now, does it make that ping sound I've always heard in the like movies, like ping, ping, ping?
It does. They've got like a recorded voice, but even there, it really does sound like jackhammers.
Oh my God.
And they gave like me earmuffs.
Okay.
On top of that, and it's still, you could tell like, oh, this would be miserable if I wasn't so tired.
So you didn't fall asleep in there, did you?
No, it'd be impossible.
I've heard people fall asleep in them, but anyway, some people
can.
Real quick,
white noise people, I imagine they might be able to.
I really envy people. I can't fall asleep. I cannot fall asleep on a bus, on a plane, or train, or whatnot. Like I've seen people, like Steve McNair that used to be here, a Tennessee Titans football player. This dude would take a nap before the game, and I'm like, this is insane.
Yeah.
I can't do that, John. I can't go to sleep, and I wish I could. I am envious of these people that fall asleep in MRI machines. All right, so you get in there. How long does it take?
Probably about 20 minutes.
Oh my God.
It's a long time.
What? Wait, so you have these earmuffs? Can you bring like your own AirPods or anything, or no?
No, because anything that's metal, you can't
right.
wear in there.
Because I've seen shows where they were wearing headphones though, so that was.
I mean, they give you headphones, but it's not to
but
hear; it's to not hear.
Right. But I'm saying a movie I saw, a TV show, they were listening to music in there, so that's not true. That's a movie misnomer, probably.
I mean, if they're only doing the lower part of your body, they might be able to limit the machine to where it doesn't go all the way up. But I mean, it didn't affect my braces or anything.
Right.
So
that's true.
So
20 minutes you're in, you come out, then so what happens then? They're like, we'll call you.
Well, they send the results to my doctor, and that's never quick.
No.
And so I have to like sit and wait for my doctor to look at them, analyze them, whatever they do, and then get back to me. And that just the waiting and just I couldn't sleep, and I work nights, so
yeah. So, but you finally, but they did. They called you Friday morning.
Well, I had to reach out to them.
Oh, well, you called them Friday
Yeah.
morning, which is that's insane. But anyway, so you called Friday morning. They said
it's clear. The only thing that they had any concerns with, I had some fatty deposits on my liver that they said I should probably focus on losing some weight, and then just waiting on the infamous kidney stone to pass as well.
Has that happened?
No, not yet.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's why John took off last week, because he was worried. Look, man, we've all gotten bad news before, like medically, like, when it's, I mean, some of us have actually gotten bad news, but the times you haven't, like it's something in your mind that's worse than it is, it's terrible. You can't sleep. You can't think.
I mean, cancer's pretty heavy in my family. My mom, my grandmother, both of them passed away from cancer. On my dad's side, my uncle, and I think my grandfather might have passed away from cancer as well. So,
yeah, you definitely have to be worried about it, concerned.
Yeah.
Well, you're good. You're back, and how you're feeling all right. I mean, because it was my birthday on the 25th, so John came over, had a good time with some friends there, and then the next weekend had my family over, and John came back over, and that's when I'd seen you, and you were like, I'm not feeling too good. What did you mean by that? Like, you were still concerned? I didn't understand, like, at the time. Like, you were still concerned about your mortality? Or
no, at that point, it was job stuff and...
Oh, okay, I got you. Yes,
yeah.
I'm aware. Okay, good. Okay, so health-wise, we're doing all right.
I mean, I feel old, but
good, yes.
Besides that, yeah.
Oh, I told you, I've injured my foot just from walking. I bought these stupid inserts at the store I played basketball both times, and I love playing basketball, but as I get older, it takes a little wear out on my feet.
Yeah, I've been sore all week for that.
Right. And so I got these inserts you put in your shoes for plantar fasciitis or whatever it's called, which I have, and it basically your heel hurts, I used to run, my goal was to run like a half marathon, a marathon. And during the training, I just couldn't do it. Like I would train for a month, and at the end of the month I could barely walk. I was like, there's no way I'm going to be able to run 12 miles. Like, which is a bummer. It really bummed me out, but you move on. So anyway, I bought these stupid inserts. I'll go walking downtown on lunch like I always do. I get back and I go, oh no, this is bad. I can barely walk on this foot today, but it's getting better, but it's still terrible. So yes, getting old sucks, but turning 45 wasn't that bad. It was all right. But we had a good time, man. I'm glad I saw John 2 weekends in a row, which is, that's been a while since that's happened. So
yeah,
it was fun, man. So anyone that came out that listens, thank you so much. That was good. And then I just do want to iterate. I told you this the other day. Blame Your Brother, the podcast. This is a first for us. We are sponsoring a T-ball team. Our logo will be on the shirts of a T-ball team. And I'm going to go check this out when it happens. I can't wait to see it. So there you go. Did not have that on the bingo card, but it's happening. So there you go. All right. Well, anything else going on with you? I mean.
No, not really.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
No news is good news.
Yeah, no, it is. That's very true. All right. Well, we got a lot of news to get to. Let's start. I don't even know where to start at. Okay, let's start with, if you've been listening for a long time, we talk about Katie Quackenbush quite a bit. I'm going to sum it up real quick who Katie Quackenbush is. Katie Quackenbush was a lady who lived in Nashville. She's in her late 20s. She was out partying with some friends. Her and a friend went back to their car. Homeless guy approached her, She said she felt threatened by him. The homeless guy said he was not threatening her. She pulled out a gun, shot it at him twice, allegedly for warning shots. One of the things hit him, and she was charged with attempted murder. Okay, now that happened 5 years ago. If you listen, some people subscribe to the podcast, so you would have got the episode. I put all the times we've talked about it in a bonus episode. So if you don't listen to it on the feed, you can go back and grab that in the podcast feed. And it's funny hearing me, John, and then Lee, who used to be the host, talk about it. I mean, it's been 5 years since this happened.
Yeah.
So her trial finally happened. And the day before her trial, I check our email, and there's a way to contact us on the website. There's a little form. You can just fill it out, but it doesn't give you any contact information. So if you ever want to email us on the show and you don't want to give us your email or your name, you can just go to bybpod.com. There's a little box down there. You can put any email you want or no email. Boom, it sends it anonymously. So I get an email, and it says, from Katie Quackenbush, and it says, my trial starts tomorrow. Would love to see you there. Now, I don't know if I'm assuming this is real, because unless it's like Jason Steen, Scoop Nashville, messing with us. But real quick on that, to take a detour, our friend, and he is an ally of mine. I know we were trying to get comedian Joshua Black. He's a Nashville comedian. Him and Jason Steen, who runs Scoop Nashville. If you live in Nashville, you've heard of Scoop Nashville. There's no way you haven't. It's a very controversial. I don't know why it's controversial, but it's a website that publishes mugshots. Totally legal. It's open public record. I don't understand what the big deal is.
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't want the public records to be like that, then go
Don't get
change the
arrested.
legislation. Yeah, I mean, or people go, well, if you publish a mugshot, it shows guilt. Well, that's not true. No, you're a fool if you think that. It just means you got arrested. Anyway, Jason Steen, always been great to the show. Bought us this board we use right now. Has always been helpful getting us guests and things like that. And I like him. I've been in contact with him multiple times. He's been on the show. He is a heart transplant donor, and his heart is starting to give out. And so sometimes in life, when you have things happen to you, sometimes the perspective of another person really focuses things for you. And I'm like, what the hell am I complaining? I'm complaining about, I'm bored at my job. I wish I had a better job, which pain is perspective, is equal to whose perspective it is. But still, then Jason here been in the hospital every day trying to get this fixed. Now, it seems like it's never going to be fixed on 100%. No, he basically needs a new heart, but I think they're going to have it in control. And just to think about, Jason is living on borrowed time. Like, I know we're all living on borrowed time, but he's literally living on borrowed time, So I just want to say, whatever you think of him, I don't know. I'm sure people have interacted with him. I want the guy to get better, So my thoughts are with him. Hopefully all you guys are. But anyway, I thought it might be Jason because he does like to mess with us. He's messed with John before. It was funny. I think it was Katie Quackenbush, 100%, because I, David Brewington, have been in contact with her a lot. Okay, which is really weird. Like, sometimes I get in touch with these people for the podcast, and it's bizarre. It's like I'm in a surreal life where, like, I am talking with Katie Quackenbush, okay? Anyway, the trial happened, and I watched a lot of it because I was like, okay, I'm curious to see what happens. It's like, there's no way. So she was charged with attempted murder, reckless endangerment, and something else. Now, I thought there's no way they're going to be able to charge her with attempted first-degree murder. I mean, that is absurd. I mean, first-degree murder means premeditated murder, meaning, like, I have thought this out and I'm going to kill you, right?
Yeah.
I was like, there's no way. I mean, the story doesn't even equal first-degree murder. Anyway, she had to take the stand. Now, here's what's crazy. The homeless guy she shot, by all accounts, you can go online. You can find any of this on your own. It's not like I'm some top detective or anything. But his son got on Reddit and said the man's insane. He thinks there's a microchip in his brain. He's been known to just be a very belligerent, angry person. Now, I think you have to take this into perspective because a lot of people have crapped all over this girl. And deservedly so. We did it first, I think you lose fact that people are people sometimes when you just see them in the news. Everyone's a person. For the most, some people are sociopaths. I don't think she is. I think she was young.
I know what you're saying. When you're a lot of times when someone's not directly in your lives, they become almost like cardboard cutouts.
Yes. I would say most people, right?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So I think she was young. I think things got out of control. I think he was out there probably yelling at her. This is my perspective on hearing everybody's story. So she takes a stand, and of course they start reading all these text messages. It would make anyone look bad. I mean, if think about it, if anybody pulled all of the messages you've ever sent to anyone, they could paint any picture of you they want. And that's crazy to me. Even with the Johnny Depp trial going on right now, I'm like, this shit is crazy. They're reading text messages about Paul Bettany, the Vision, doing like cocaine and Valium and Xanax. I'm like, dude, this is public record?
It is now.
Well, they read hers, and her and her baby's daddy things were not good and things were out of control. And we've all said things to an ex that maybe we regret it. I have. I'll be the first one to say I've said things that maybe could get me in trouble. I've done things that probably could have got me in trouble. Okay? We all have a past. But anyways, so trial. But here's what happens. A lawyer gets on the stand. Not her lawyer. This is another lawyer that we happen to follow on Twitter, which is very bizarre. He had an office downtown, and he said he saw this guy that she shot every day for a long time, and he said, I was very frightened of this man. He goes, I started carrying a gun with me because I was frightened of how loud this guy was. And he said, but, after a while, I figured out he was just he had mental illness. But he said at first, I was scared, man. And then they started cross-directing him with, one time you were accused of perjury in a trial, so you're a liar, and blah, blah. And I went, my God, man, no wonder no one wants to get on the stand. They're going to rip you apart.
Yeah.
So anyways, jury goes back. They decide that she's just guilty of reckless endangerment, which is only a misdemeanor. So the most she could serve would be 12 months, 11 months, 29 days. Her sentencing is May 12th, which will be next week, the day after we record. And I'm very curious to see what happens, because at the time this happened, she was a 20-something-year-old party girl. She now has 4 kids. So she already had one when this happened. She had one, and she had twins just a year ago. She's in school. She's about to graduate. She's going to go take her LSAT. I would think anybody could look at her and probably say, this is a different person than what happened. So this gets into, what is the point of the criminal justice system? Is it to rehabilitate, or is it to punish? Or is it a mixture of the both? I mean, she's on probation for another 3 or 4 years. I mean, that is a form of punishment. You have to stay clean or you go to jail. Yeah. I would imagine, as I predicted, and I have the video clip, I predicted 5 years ago that she would get probation. I'm sticking with that prediction. John, you predicted she would get 15 years. So...
Yeah, I'm fairly certain I'm wrong about that.
I would say so. But just to say, I was not there. I can only speak to the person I've talked to, and I think we've all made bad mistakes. I mean, not with guns, but, we live in Tennessee where a lot of people have guns, and I've worked with people that a gun went off and accidentally killed a coworker. So it's happened. Mm-hmm. So whatever happens to her, I just thoughts are with her family at least, and this man is alive today, and I think he got injured pretty badly because of this, but it's a rough situation, and in a homeless situation, that's a whole nother story. But anyways, just want to give Katie Quackenbush. You have any thoughts on any of that?
I mean, not really.
Okay.
But I mean, it's obvious that if she wasn't on the current path that she's on, something happened and changed her life, and
right,
she's on a good path now.
Maybe it was blame your brother.
Maybe it was.
Saving lives, baby.
We're saving lives.
All right, let's do a little roundup real quick, and then we'll get to the big story. All right, I guess you heard while you were out, Elon Musk, and we talk about Elon Musk all the time. Elon Musk has purchased Twitter for the low price of, do you know how much?
Was it like $15 billion?
Higher, $44 billion. So my man now he owns Twitter. He said big changes are coming. I don't know what that means. John, any idea what big changes? He said it's going to be more free speech.
Oh, boy.
But I think that's problematic. I don't think free speech is problematic. But I think the nature of free speech, when we address it, we have to really be careful. Number one, this is a private company. I mean, there's really no free speech guaranteed for private companies. If you are an employer, there's not, to some degree, I mean, you can argue what you want, but that is not covered under the Constitution. Constitution protects you from prosecution from the state. Yeah. Where I can get on here right now and say, I think when Trump was president, Donald Trump's a moron. I'm protected by that. I can't be punished for that. Now, if my boss is a big Trump fan and he doesn't like that, he could fire me. You know, I mean, they probably would. But anyways, my fear of this, and I don't really care, John. I mean, at the end of the day, who cares? Twitter. I mean, if you don't like it, I'll leave it, you know?
Yeah.
But it's just the timing's a bit odd that he's going to start making changes probably around the time that the next election.
Campaign, yeah.
You know? And Trump's power on Twitter, you can never deny it. Like, you could say whatever you want about the guy. He's an insane person. He's a sociopath. He's a narcissistic guy. But the traits he had is he used social media better than any other politician before him. I mean, there's still politicians today that weren't as effective as using it as he was.
Yeah.
He truly figured out how to use it to effectively communicate with his people. And the breakup of all them being kicked off, it's been very interesting to watch them try to pull up these other social media, The Truth, and before that it was Trump's Desk or whatever. Parler. And they've all failed. They don't have the staying power of Twitter. Well, we're going to see what happens with this, but I don't know what to think about Elon Musk. I mean, there's certain days I'm like, yeah, the guy seems like he's all right. And there's other days I'm like, this is a guy we should not be giving a lot of power to. So we'll see what happens with that. Okay, let's get to the stories here. Rest in peace this week, Naomi Judd. Naomi Judd dies from suicide. Now, what is your knowledge of the Judds, bro? Like, are you a Judds fan?
I mean, not really. The hits that I know that they had were mostly covers. Bridge Over Troubled Water.
Really? I couldn't, honestly, if you're like, I'll give you $10 million. You name me one Judd song, I go keep your money. I couldn't do it. I don't know one. I didn't even know they covered that song.
Where's Love Will Build a Bridge? It has the word bridge in it. I don't know.
Sure.
Anyway.
The bridge.
But
Love can build a bridge.
Yeah.
It's in the article here. There you go. Well, I would take the $10 million question now that I've read the article.
Yeah.
No, but she died. She was 76 years old and had struggled with mental illness. And we just keep coming back to these stories.
There were like TV movies made about them. But I mean, nobody really takes those movies to heart. So
right.
Don't really.
I feel like I saw one of them years ago, honestly, but I can't remember it. And I thought it focused more on the daughter than the mother, but I definitely watched.
Yeah,
yes.
It was definitely more about Winona than it was.
I watched that movie, John. I couldn't tell you what it's called or anything about it. I
think it was called Love Will Build a Bridge.
I just know they had a contentious relationship, according to this film. Here's a scary thing, really, truthfully. I mean, when you look at it, this woman was 76 years old and still struggling with mental health until the day she took her own life from the disease.
I mean, I heard that they were on tour.
Yeah, no, yes, it was just starting. They were about to go into the Hall of Fame, like some country Hall of Fame or something, the day before this happened, which is wild.
Yeah.
So my heart goes out to her family. I mean, she seemed well beloved by the country music industry and anyone that struggles with that in their entire life. I mean, when do you know you're on the edge of insanity? I think about this all the time now because I just walk around lately not that I'm going insane, but I don't know how people are not more outraged at just the world we're living in right now. Because I'll walk around people, I'm like, are you not just like upset constantly? And they're like, no, not really. And I'm like, how? I mean, I want that. I want what you have. Can I get your brain where I'm like at a 7 constantly, just thinking about just the things that are happening in the world, just the people in the world. And I think the entire Trump administration has led me to this point, but that's a little bit different than this, but it still it speaks to mental health. When do you know? Do you think, I mean, I don't know. When do you know you're slipping? When do you know you're past a point? I mean, she obviously struggled with this her entire life. At 76, she said, I cannot do it anymore. I mean, 76 years, she was probably dealing with at least 60 plus years.
Yeah.
Of just constant, whatever she was suffering, depression or what. I'm really not sure, her diagnosis, but it's truly a bummer. Well, rest in peace, and hopefully, like I said, her family, it's tough, man. I mean, you've lost your mother. I've lost my mother, but we didn't lose our mothers like that.
Yeah.
And I feel there's a whole nother processing to go with that.
I mean, I wouldn't know how to be in a scenario like that. I mean, you have like to be in that kind of relationship where like, okay, well, we've been in a band, but there wasn't one person in our band that was like the boss.
Right.
You know, there wasn't somebody who was like, all right, at the end of the day, I'm calling the shots. And when it's a mother-daughter team,
Right.
you know who that's going to be.
Yeah, right. I think that was part of the entire butting heads.
And so, I mean, and the thing is like separated. I mean, God bless her soul, but Naomi, it wasn't. Winona was the driving force.
Oh, yeah.
She had a decent career without Naomi.
Yes, she did.
Whereas the reverse was not so true.
Right. Yes. Well, I mean, she'll go in the annals of music history. You know, they're up there as far as people love the genre. They're one of the greats. So, well, another rest in peace. Maybe not so sad on this one. The world's oldest person, Japan's, I guess it's Kanye Tanaka, dies at 119 years old. Says although she didn't quite make it to her goal of 120, Miss Tanaka still lived long enough to become the world's oldest person. She died last week at 119 years old, probably 2 weeks ago now. She'd been living at a nursing home in some part of Japan, and she was born January 2nd, 1903, the same year the Wright brothers brought powered flight to the world. She was the seventh child of her family. Wow, she loved chocolate and soda. During a presentation last year, she was given a box of chocolates, which she immediately opened and began devouring. She was supposed to carry the Olympic torch this year, but deemed it too risky to COVID-19. Wow. That's wild. Would you want to live to be 119, John? I mean,
I don't know if I'd want to live past 80.
That's what everyone says, but I'm thinking when you get to 80, number one, it's going to depend on pain, right? Obviously. Yeah. I don't know what her pain level was, but she seemed to be having a good time with it. So I'm with you. If I'm in a lot of pain, no, I don't want to live. But see, it's tough, John, because when we're 80, see, we had kids later in life because now we're looking at like grandkids possibly.
Yeah.
You know? So that's.
Your prodigy is the only thing you really have to look forward to.
Right.
Your kids, your grandkids, whatnot. Especially like growing up in the lifestyles that we did before, the smartphones and the really, really, really good video games.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
There was a level of our childhoods and teenage years where most of our lives were physical lives. We went out and played basketball. We hiked. We did all these things.
Right.
And not being able to readily do that and that's your life now.
I don't know. It's,
you know what I mean?
We'll find out. My brother-in-law Corey says the same thing. He doesn't want it to be a certain age, but look, if you tell me I'm going out at 80 or 119, I'm probably going to pick 119. I do love life. I do. I mean, as bad as it can be, some days I still love it, But yeah, we'll find out when we get there, Real quick, Dave Chappelle was attacked on stage with Chris Rock. Chris Rock and Dave Chappelle were performing for some Netflix special. A guy ran up, tackled Dave Chappelle, and the security beat the living you-know-what out of this guy.
Good. He deserved it.
And I don't know where we're at now, but...
Thank you, Will Smith.
I think Smith, obviously, but I come back to, I think you had the last 4 years of this, well, you can say whatever you want, man. You can do whatever you want. You can go rush people, do whatever you want. I think there's a mentality. This can't be allowed.
It's so weird, the dichotomy of things where you're allowed to do that, but you can't say things.
Yeah. But they want it. They want it. I'm talking some extreme people either way. I mean, probably more to the right, but they want it where they can say whatever they want and they can do whatever they want. Okay. And you can say Antifa, but the Proud Boys are probably the biggest thing, and the white nationalists in Charlottesville. They want to be able to punch you in the mouth if they don't agree with what you say. And I'm like, is this the country you want where we're going around punching people? It's saying great. Anyway, so that happened. I just want to touch that, but we got to get to the main story of the week. Roe v. Wade is about to get overturned in this country. And how we find out about this, which I saw the news and couldn't believe it. I said, is this real? Am I watching something that's real right now? I thought this was a theory. Turns out somebody, we don't know who, the left think it's the right think it's the left, leaked the decision, and the decision lists very clearly that the judges that were appointed by Trump, who under oath said they would not change Roe v. Wade, have decided that they're going to overturn it. So already you have principles of lying in here. But now this is causing some friction in the world. And I'm just, you probably know where I stand. So
I mean, we've talked about it on the podcast before.
yeah, so I'll give John a chance. I mean, anyone that knows me, you know where I'm standing, okay? I think this is absurd. And I do want to apologize right now. And I mean this to anyone, because when Trump got elected, I did downplay it. I did. I shouldn't have, because I worked with people that were Christians, quote unquote, and they told me they were voting for Trump specifically. They told me this specifically. They were voting for him because he would put certain judges in the court. They told me this. And I downplayed it, and I laughed when some of my coworkers who were female cried. I did. I laughed at it. I said, oh, these people are overacting. And I was wrong. I was wrong. The right, they did exactly what they wanted to do. They've got these alt-right judges in, and that's what they are, man. That's what they are, okay? And trust me, there's some leftists in there. If you want to come at me for that, I understand that, right? And we live in an ideal world, judges wouldn't be like this, but we're not in the ideal world. Uh-huh. But he put these judges in, and they now have enough, and they're about to overturn something that's going to affect every woman in this country, okay? Whether if person you have to deal with it or not, it affects a choice of women. I think it's wrong, and I think Trump, this is going to be his ultimate. This is something he did that's really going to just deepen the divide in this country. And they did it. This is one thing about the Republicans you can never say. They game plan well. And it worked. Their strategy worked. Mm-hmm. So anyways, John, what do you think about that? I think it's a load of BS.
I think whenever you have a universal thing that is considered a safe right, and then you take that away, that's going to be detrimental to a country.
Well,
whether you agree with it or not.
Right. And here's the thing about it. Look, if you're a Christian and you believe it's taking the life, I understand that. Okay. But, I mean, this is the same party that believes in the death penalty, which now you can't say you're pro-life if you're for both of those things. John, now I know, are you for the death penalty? I believe you are, or you're not. I don't know. I'm asking. This is a question. I
believe that if someone is responsible for extremely, and short answer, yes, I believe in the death penalty.
But do you consider so you consider yourself a pro-life person?
I consider myself pro-choice, but okay. I wish, and I've said this for years since the start of the podcast, that I wish that the choice was life. Okay. But it's still.
Well, then, I can't come at you hard then, because you're not. These people are touting they have the pro-life license plates, which I don't know, how is that legal, number one? I've wondered this I keep talking about this. How is a Christian group, when we talk about separation of church and state, allowed to have these license plates? There's no pro-choice plates, but we've all seen the pro-life plates. You see the picture of the baby. And look, I'm like, John, yes, I would not want, well, I can't say that. I'm never going to have an abortion. So I can't speak to if I was a female, this is the thought of it I wouldn't want to do, right? But there's a number of reasons. We can start with just the shelf reasons everybody gives. Rape, incest. These Republicans are like, no, bro. If you're raped, you carry that child full term. Yeah. Understanding that this person that raped them, I believe they have parental rights to that kid. Now, I may be crazy. I may not know the law specific on that. I'm sure someone will point it out, but that's a little bit crazy. We're talking incest. No more. Let's talk about.
That's probably a problem with some of these alt-right people already.
It might be. We can go our base, man. We're talking life of the mother.
If you take that away, I'll never have a little kid of my own.
Life of the mother, right? And so just take the three big ones right there, which most people can agree on. Okay, I understand the middle area is a little gray, and I always say you don't have to like someone else's choices. When does life start? That's a big debate, right? That's not for me to decide. I'm not a doctor. I'm not I don't go deep that into philosophy on that, but those three things will not be possible. In certain states, which is primarily all the southern states, let's just be honest, there's a map, you can go look at it, and they think this is a good idea. And I'm like, this is the party. And John, this is why I get on the Republican. This is the party that says we're all about limited government. We're all about you choosing what you want to do. This is their tagline. It's a load of garbage. They're not about that. They want you to control what you got freedom if it's the freedom they want you to have.
Yeah, I mean, let's see what would happen if next month no more guns.
Ah, yes, because then I said, so I've said this before the mic started, I'll say it again. I've even made TikTok videos about it, but if the solution to the border is to build a wall, and as Trump himself said, put alligators and snakes in the moat that's built around the wall. Okay, this is what the man said, according to people that worked with him. So that would mean we're going to stop the people from getting over here. Now, how would we stop the women from ever getting the abortion? Now, it takes two people to tango, right? It takes a man and a woman. All right. Now, what if the men had a procedure that would stop them from getting people pregnant? Would that stop abortions? Because, I mean, essentially, yeah, you could argue it would.
Yeah.
So why don't all the conservative men in the country, and vasectomies are totally reversible, okay, for the most part, why don't all the men pray to God about it and then go get your vasectomy when you're of a certain age, you hit puberty, you go get your vasectomy, and then when you decide you want to have a kid, get it reversed. And then there we go. Now it's absurd, right?
Yeah.
It's absurd as the other side saying that to women. Once again, I don't understand how a bunch of old-ass white men are making these laws for the most part. These are not women making these laws. It's absurd. Unfortunately, I don't know what can be done about it. There's only really two things that can be done about it. Three. Number one, you can pray a meteorite or something comes down and hits some of the judges and takes them out, okay? Now, that's not going to happen, right? I mean, that's some... You know what? Things are so crazy that we keep saying this wouldn't happen, but the things Trump has said, I would say Lowell would ever say, so who knows? But that's probably not going to happen, okay? Number two, Biden's going to have to put in more Supreme Court justices. That's probably not going to happen either. Number three, which is not going to happen, is that the Senate can pass laws that guarantee a woman still has the right to it, regardless of what Supreme Court says. They don't have the votes. So if I'm a woman walking around, I am mad as hell today, knowing there's not much you can do about it. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I just can't imagine the anger of that, but I mean, that's all I got to say about it. I mean, I could go off for days, but I really, at the end of the day, it's the same thing for me, like Black Lives Matters or women's rights. I don't need to be the one addressing the crowd, but I sure as hell will be standing behind you while you address the crowd. And if you need me to do anything, I'll do it. But you don't need another white male at the front spouting about, well, this is what I think. I think women deserve rights, just like men deserve rights, like black people deserve rights, people that come across the border. Everyone's human. We all deserve rights. That's what I think. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting couple of months, man, because I think this is going to happen in June or July, I think. Or I don't know specifically when. So
I mean, you talk about insurrections. I guess that's going to be.
Well, they've already put a wall around the Supreme Court. So we'll definitely be tuned into that, and maybe we'll talk about it more in the future. But that's it. I want to give a big congratulations. We see Dolly there. Dolly's on the screen right behind me, right there. There she is. Dolly and with a few others, Eminem will be the new inductees into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Dolly made the list, so there was a couple people made it, but I would think the most notable, I think Pat Benatar may have made the list. I tweeted out, but I know for sure. And Dolly Parton had initially said, hey, I don't want to do this. But then when she picked, she said, but I will go into it. So we had Pat Benatar, Duran Duran, Eminem, Eurythmics, Dolly Parton, Lionel Richie, Carly Simon. And Judas Priest got in as something else. So decent class. Pretty good. Pretty good. So I think that's all the news for this week, John. I think we kind of get it all. I think that's all the main points. So
we had to zoom through, but hey.
I mean, it's good, though. It's good. A lot to get in there. And like I said, I'm sure some of these stories will continue to stick around, so we'll stick with them. All right. Well, now it's time, John. It's time for the Mount Rushmore. We got all the serious stuff out of the way. So we're doing tonight actors who have played themselves. Specifically, we're talking about they played themselves. The new Nicolas Cage movie, which is called
the inspiration for
The
it.
Unbearable Weight or something of being an awesome person. I don't know what the movie is. Some long title. Nicolas Cage plays Nicolas Cage. And it looks like a very funny movie. I've not seen it. John has not seen it, but we will be seeing it when it comes video on demand, because I've heard people say it's very funny. It's very good. It's very tongue-in-cheek. So we're looking at instances like that. When an actor playing themselves, and so, we're going to go through all of it, but I was just looking for, personally, I look for moments that really stood out. You remember these moments, and it was funny, or it was unexpected, or it was something great. So, who goes first this week?
I have no idea.
I don't either.
This is one of those few times where I don't really, I always care about the list, but I'm not super passionate about getting my picks up.
Okay.
Because I think a lot of our picks are going to be the same.
Yeah, it could be.
And so.
Well, I believe. So you picked. We did last week. We did movie deaths. Did you pick Jesus first?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Awesome sauce. Then that means I go first this week. And you got any list. There's one that stands out the most. To me, it's one of the first ones I saw where I went, Neil Patrick Harris, Harold and Kumar.
Yeah.
And people don't understand. When we grew up, Doogie Howser that was the show, man.
He was just as squeaky. I think that's where Squeaky Clean came from. Okay.
I mean, he was a 12-year-old doctor in this show, at some age like that, 12, I think.
14, I think.
Whatever he was. He was a doctor at that age, and he was clean cut, played by the rules. I was like, everybody, when you grow up, you're going to be like Doogie Howser. I mean, he's still referenced today.
Yeah.
Like, when you talk about someone smart, that
if
guy.
A little kid says that he wants to be a doctor,
yeah,
you call him Doogie Howser.
Right.
That's the thing.
So then we see these Harold and Kumar go to White Castle.
Yeah.
And they pull up and they pick up Doogie Howser. But it's not Doogie Howser. Well, they call him Doogie Howser, but it's Neil Patrick Harris playing a version of himself, which is just phenomenal. He is a drug-addled... And in real life, Neil Patrick Harris is gay. But in this movie, he was he was not gay in the movie. I mean, he was probably everything in the movie. I don't know, but he loved the ladies. And he loved the drugs. And I don't know which one he loved more. I think he loved the drugs
the
more.
timing of it, too, you have to take in consideration that this was still before How I Met Your Mother.
Oh, yeah.
So that's the only thing you really knew him by.
Think about his three greatest roles, essentially. He was playing a straight man. I mean, you could argue, over the course of his life, hey, he's playing a doctor. I mean, you want your kid to be like that. I think he had some love interest on the show. It's been a long time since I watched it.
He had a long-time girlfriend.
Right.
They were on and off again. But.
That's right. So you had that. Then you got this, him and Harold and Kumar, and he's insane. He's the typical, just drug Hollywood. I just want to do drugs and hook up with chicks. And then he plays Barney on How I Met Your Mother, where he's the ultimate, straight guy at the bar. It's kind of funny. I think this man's gay as can be, So, but I love Neil Patrick Harris, and man, when I think of one, that's the one I think of. That was the first one. It's one of the ones that blew my mind. I mean, I'm sure it's been done before, but that's one of the ones where I went, oh, okay, I see what they're doing here. This is funny. So that's my number one, Neil Patrick Harris. All right, what you got, man?
My number one, if you know us, you know what our interests are. This is not going to be a surprise to you. We grew up on comic books. So we got to go with my boy, Stan Lee from Mallrats.
Yeah, that's a good one. Stan Lee, Mallrats. Man, Kevin Smith, he was writing the hits back in the day. What happened to this man? Weed. I'm telling you, I'm serious, dude. When that dude started smoking weed, the movies went downhill. And I'm sure that made his life better. And maybe he had all of his talent before he had the weed. I don't know. Look, I don't know, man. Look, all I know is that Mallrats Clerks, Mallrats Chasing Amy, what a trilogy. I mean, holy hell, man. Yeah. And I don't know what your favorite of those three is. It just depends on what mood I'm in. If I want an introspective, I'm looking back at my life, probably Clerks. If I want to laugh, Mallrats. And if I want just a serious drama, Chasing Amy. I mean, it's all there, man.
Yeah.
But yes, Stan Lee is a pivotal part of Mallrats because Brody, who's played by Jason Lee, has a situation he's gotten himself into, and he goes to Stan Lee for advice and asks him some stupid questions. But that was a big get back then. I mean, Stan Lee was, like you said, we grew up, this guy was a god.
Yeah.
You know, and to see him on the big screen being himself, it was funny.
Yeah.
So I have never heard anything bad about Stan Lee. It seems like, I'm sure, I think things came out when he died, but they were so like stupid. Like people were just like, yeah, man, shut up. I mean, yeah. Come on. The guy invented X-Men, which was about the persecution of people being different in this world. Come on, man, get the hell out of
If
here.
that's not an allegory for race
Right.
relations, I don't know what is.
It's absurd. So, all right, yeah, Stan Lee, Mallrats. Anything else to add? That's a good one.
I
man.
mean, it's just, I was blown away. You wouldn't think, and it wasn't just a few lines. He was having a lengthy conversation
it's good
with
stuff.
Jason
It's
Lee's
good stuff.
character, and it would cut away, and then they'd cut back to them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah.
All right, for my number 2, and this movie, I don't know if it's ever been done before. I'm sure it has. I'm sure someone's going to go, yeah, it's been done before. But if you lived in the 90s, and even to this day you do a podcast, and you're acting like you weren't a fan of Howard Stern, you've lost your flipping mind. And when the movie Private Parts came out, the decision to have Howard Stern play Howard Stern it's a bit crazy.
Yeah.
But it worked. And the guy's never been in another movie that I'm really aware of since that. Do you know if he's been in any?
I mean, if it was, cameo at best.
I thought he was
He did a great
so
job.
good. People don't understand, like, it's probably difficult to play yourself because you have to amp it up on the screen. Like, you can't be just your normal self. You have to turn it up just a little bit.
And there's a level of hubris that's got to be taking shots. 'Cause
Right.
You can't just paint yourself in this perfect light.
Right. And I felt the movie, I think it's a fantastic movie. I still remember most of the entire movie. I thought it was great. It told the story of, how he rose to be the man of radio. He is the man. He took Imus and said, you're done. You're out of here. And when you think of radio, you're always, I mean, he's still doing it today, John.
Yeah.
Still today. And still as important in that world than anyone. I mean, people say Joe Rogan, brother, you still ain't past Howard Stern yet, brother.
Yeah.
And the man, and just speaking of Howard Stern, I mean, one of the best interviewers alive. But in this movie, he gave you enough of himself. He was a likable guy. He kind of showed you who his true self was because he is a crass guy, and they had to make you like him. And he pulled it off, man. It was fantastic. Yeah. So, Howard Stern, Private Parts.
That's a good one. That's a really good one.
All right, John, you are up. What you got?
All right, gotta take it back to the history of who our heroes were back in the day, and look at some of growing up in the 80s, some of the movies that we liked. I mean, Ghostbusters was up there, and I got a shout out to Bill Murray in
there we go.
Zombieland.
Bill Murray in Zombieland. Yep, that's so that's the trick of that movie. The trick of that movie is you see Bill Murray. This is what I like. This is one that I like. You're like, he's not Bill Murray.
Yeah, you just think, you literally think he's a zombie.
And then it's revealed, no, this is actually Bill Murray. The actor is alive after the zombie apocalypse or whatever. And what a twist. What a great twist. It's a cameo, essentially, but it really, if you've seen the movie, it is a high point of the movie. I felt Zombieland's like a really good movie. I never saw the sequel because it didn't look good, but I thought Zombieland, it was great. I don't know what your thoughts on it are, but
it's really funny, and it's just like, and the thing is he him being in the movie is just so funny on so many different levels, because you think, okay, if something catastrophic did happen and like you meet a celebrity that made it through, do you still treat them like a celebrity?
Right. Probably would, right? For at least at the beginning.
Yeah. And some of those characters do.
Yeah.
Like Woody Harrelson's over the moon. He's like, oh my gosh, it's Bill Murray. But
Which, yeah, anybody would be.
But I mean, there's still like some kind of like an audacity to it. It's just like,
You know that dude's in big trouble right now.
which
Bill Murray.
one?
Bill Murray.
Oh.
Like he got kicked off a movie set for problematic behavior, and he has a history of not being a great guy to work with.
I've heard that him and Lucy Liu had butted head quite a bit
she said
on Charlie's Angels.
She said he was saying things you should never say. It was never revealed what it is. Richard Louis Dreyfuss said he's a bully. He was throwing things at him, hitting him.
I've heard the same thing about Richard Dreyfuss.
But whatever this movie is on, they haven't released things were said that shouldn't have been said. So I don't know what that means. But anyway, I'd still be in awe if I met Bill Murray because most stories you hear about him, and maybe he gets on the set and he's a different mindset. But outside of movies, I've heard he's like a fantastic guy.
Yeah.
So good choice. Okay, I'm going to go with one. A serious actor gets in kind of a wonky movie, and he's playing himself. He's in the movie a lot, and it's one of the most mind-bending movies you might see. But John Malkovich and being John Malkovich is so good. It's such a great movie. It's such a weird movie to explain. It's a Charlie Kaufman movie. So basically, it's
weird.
It's John Cusack and the girl I can't stand.
Cameron.
Yeah, Cameron Diaz. Who's Cameron Diaz is unrecognizable in this movie, so I kind of actually like her in it. But they find a portal where they can go into the door and be John Malkovich for like 15 minutes at a time. You get to live his life. So you go inside his brain, essentially, and you can see and you can do whatever you want. And so then all these people start being John Malkovich. They charge for it, and it's just a really crazy – it's really a movie about identity and who you are and who you could be. And John Malkovich at one point finds out they're doing this, and he goes into his own brain. It's really weird to explain, but he is so great in this movie because he has to play himself, but he also has to play other people playing himself, and it's fun. It's a fun little exercise. And at one point, there's all John Malkoviches because when he goes in his own brain, there's like hundreds.
That's all
of them.
he sees. Every person is John
Malkovich. John Malkovich. John Malkovich. That's all they're saying. So if you've never seen that movie, just sit down, turn your phone off, watch it, enjoy it. I've seen it multiple times. I watched it during the pandemic, rewatched it, and it holds up. It's fantastic. But he's so good in that movie because once again, he's playing a version of himself, which is
even John Cusack doesn't feel like John Cusack in that movie.
No, not at all. He's definitely playing a different version of himself, 100%.
So yeah,
there you go. That's mine, John Cusack.
Movie.
All right, what you got, John? You got number 3.
Number 3. It's just for a brief second, just a short moment in this movie, but. Again, I got to go back to comic books. I'm going to go with Ryan Reynolds for Deadpool 2.
Really?
Yeah. So Deadpool 2, one of the end credit scenes, he has the ability to time travel now because he stole that device from Cable.
Wow. I've seen this movie, and I don't even remember this.
One of the scenes is he goes back to the moment before, right as Ryan Reynolds is reading the script for Green Lantern.
Oh, man. Is this really in the movie? I've
And
never
he
seen
shoots
this.
him, yeah.
He kills himself in the movie?
Yes.
Oh, I've never seen that. I've never even heard of this.
What? You need to watch it.
Wow, that's pretty funny. Wow, so that's very meta. That's very meta.
Extremely meta.
All right, Ryan Reynolds and it's Deadpool 2.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Ryan Reynolds is a funny guy, so I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, anything to add?
No.
I think
Like I said,
it's good. It's
very
funny.
short scene.
Very funny.
But yeah.
Very funny. All right, man, I got so many good people I'm going to leave off. It really sucks, man. But I'm going to go with a great movie. I got to get a female on here. It'd be silly if we didn't have any women on here. But I don't know if John has any women on his list. But The Big Short is a great movie about the financial fall of America during the banking crisis when banks were just giving out money to people. And over the course of the movie, you follow Christian Bale, you follow some other people, and the director has to really make the audience understand how the banking loan system works, which is not easy to explain on the big screen. I mean, most people are going to zone out when you start talking about, well, they're selling these people short, they're doing this, they're putting investments here and there and there and there. So the director decided in the middle of the movie, he would have Margot Robbie, who, perfection. Margot Robbie is in a bathtub, taking a bubble bath, drinking wine, And she goes, it cuts to her and she goes, "Hello, I'm Margot Robbie. You may know me from certain movies." And then she goes, "Let me explain the banking crisis to you." And so she explains whatever the situation. They have a few other actors doing as well. I think Anthony Bourdain was in it as well. He's in a kitchen. He explains because like I said, it's big concepts to explain to the average person. The average person doesn't know about bank loans and shorting and all that. And so it's just a short scene, but it moves the movie along. But it just messed with your mind because you're watching this movie and it's like Christian Bale and he's like all serious and it's got all these people and then it's like boom, just cut to her and you're like, oh, okay, so now we're just breaking the fourth wall here. So Margot Robbie, and I mean she's in a bathtub, bro, bubble bath. So I love Margot Robbie. I think she's gonna win an award at some point. I think did she already win one? She won one for Tanya? I don't know. Huh? But anyway, she's a fan. The thing is, you get people like that. It's kind of like the Leo thing. Like you're like, these people are so good looking, but they're also good actors. It's almost not fair, but she's amazing. So that's it. Margot Robbie, The Big Short's my final one. John, your last one. What do you got? What do you got, man?
I mean, I'm with you. There's a lot of choices I have on here that I could go with, and
it's too many.
I'm gonna have to go with one of my favorite movies, Happy Gilmore. Bob Barker.
Oh my God. I didn't even have that written down. That's a good one, John. That is a good one. Oh man. Happy Gilmore is one of my favorite comedies ever. Yeah. God, I didn't even think about that one. I mean, explain that one, man. If people never seen it.
So Happy Gilmore is about a dude that he's obsessed with hockey. He wanted to be a hockey player all his life, but he couldn't hack it. Turns out that what he can do is hit a golf ball really, really far.
Oh, really far, yeah.
And so he joins a tournament just to kind of raise money to save his mom's house, grandmother's house.
His grandmother's losing her house, and so he's got to make whatever the amount of money.
And so he wins the tournament that puts him into the pros tournament. And so he's going on this tournament, and about halfway through the season, they do a celebrity tournament. And, with celebrity golf tournaments, you got to have a pro matched up with a celebrity. And the celebrity he's matched up with is Bob Barker. And on this...
if they don't know who Bob Barker is...
Bob Barker is the original host. Well, I don't know if he's the original host, but he's the most famous host.
He's our host, yeah.
Of The Price is Right. He did it for like 30-plus years.
And he was on this show, all The Price is Right. He was very even keeled. He was very likable. He was like your uncle, your grandfather or something. So, anyways, continue.
And so
we'll set that up.
Happy Gilmore is not really playing up to snuff. In fact, I think Bob Barker's scores are better than his is.
Yes.
And Bob's getting kind of ticked off at him. He's like, "Come on, you're supposed to be a pro." He's like, "You're horrible." So they actually get into a fist fight.
Oh yeah, and it's more than a fist fight, man.
Oh, yeah.
It's an all out brawl.
Yeah, and
trust me, the first time anyone ever saw this movie, they lost their stuff, man. And there is a quote.
The price is wrong.
Yeah, basically, yes. The quote is, if you've ever heard this before and you've never seen the movie, "The price is wrong, bitch." And it is. Dude, I watched it the first time. I lost my mind. You couldn't even believe this. Number one, if you're our age, Bob Barker, when you got sick from school, that was your boy. You would get on your couch or your bed and you would watch Price is Right, right? Yep. To see this guy beaten up, freaking Adam Sandler in a movie, was unreal. So that's it, John. That's a good one. It's a good pull. All right, I'm going to go back over our list and we'll go over what we did not get to. I had Neil Patrick Harris and Harold and Kumar. I had Howard Stern in Private Parts, John Malkovich and Being John Malkovich, Margot Robbie in The Big Short. John had Stan Lee and Mallrats, Bill Murray in Zombieland, Ryan Reynolds in Deadpool 2, and Bob Barker in Happy Gilmore. Who else did you not get to, John?
Matt Damon and Ben Affleck and Jay and Silent Bob.
Okay. I did not have that one written down. It's
Al
funny.
Pacino and Jack and Jill.
I want to talk. Let's talk about that, bro. I wanted to put that on so bad. If I'm around someone, I'm like, you have to watch. I've never seen Jack and Jill. Okay, let me clarify this. It's an Adam Sandler movie. It sounds like the worst movie. I never want to watch it. But Al Pacino is playing himself in this movie, and I guess Adam Sandler's a director or something.
He's an advertiser.
Okay, whatever. He's making a commercial, and Al Pacino is the spokesperson
for Dunkin' Donuts.
For Dunkin' Donuts. All you have to do is Google this. I used to play this at the end of this show. This is one of the funniest. I laugh every time I watch. This is the funniest thing Al Pacino has ever done, without a doubt. He's singing a song called the Dunkachino.
He changes his name from Al to Dunk.
I'm Dunkachino. Dunk. And in the song, he's referencing every movie he's ever done. Scarface, Godfather, you name it. Atticus, the movie Atticus. You're out of order. This whole courtroom's out of order. Sin of One. I mean, please go watch this clip, dude. I guarantee you'll laugh. I cannot watch the movie. That's why I couldn't put it on the list. But my God, that one scene, 2 minutes. I've played that for more people than you ever know, John. Anyways, all right, keep going.
Everyone in the movie This Is the End.
But if I was going to go This Is the End, I got to go Michael Cera.
Yeah.
The only reason I didn't go Michael Cera is because I went Neil Patrick Harris, who it's kind of the same
thing.
But
yeah.
Michael Cera, wow, amazing. Yeah. And your boys, not your boy, but I say your boy to everyone. Channing Tatum's really funny in it too. Okay.
David Hasselhoff, and he's done this a lot, but specifically Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Yes. He also played himself in Hop, which is weird.
Yeah. He was also himself in SpongeBob SquarePants the movie.
Oh, he was. I've seen all those. Weird.
Mike Tyson in The Hangover.
That's a good one.
And pretty much everyone in Last Action Hero.
Yeah, that's true. I had Anna Faris and Keanu with Key and Peele. She plays herself, and they're like, wait a minute. It's one of those things. You're Anna Faris. She's like, yeah, I am. She's like a drug addict. They always like to be drug people, you know. I had LeBron James in Trainwreck. He was actually really good in that. Tom Petty in The Postman.
I haven't seen that.
I've never seen The Postman, but I watched the clip, and it's in the future, and it's like apocalyptic, and Kevin Costner goes, he goes, I used to be that guy. I used to play music. And it's like, it's implied he's Tom Petty. And Kevin Garnett in Uncut Gems, which is another movie that features Adam Sandler, which is really good. If you've never seen Uncut Gems, if you've ever heard that before. That's it. That's our Mount Rushmore. Good one. That was better than I thought it would be, man. It was fun.
It was pretty good.
All right. Well, we've come to the end of the episode. Like I said, we had so much to talk about. We went a little bit over, but you guys like that. I'm sure you missed us. And we've got some great guests coming up over the next few weeks, so be paying attention on social media for those guests. I think you're going to like some of them, and we got, just things will continue to happen as well. I think next week we'll probably, if we get a chance, talk about Moon Knight. The Marvel series is wrapped up on Disney Plus. And, we can talk about a number of other things, but how you pay attention to what we will be talking about is go to our website, bybpod.com. That's our website. All of our social media links are up there. So if you want to go follow us on Twitter or what's still Elon Musk free, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all those good things. And while you're there, John, what else can you do?
Well, Mother's Day is coming up. You still have time to get that primo gift. But what you need to do is go to our website, click on that Amazon affiliate link. Then from there, do your shopping. It doesn't cost you anything else, but it does help the show immensely. And there's a lot of moms that love this show. So it's like double the Mother's Day gift.
There you go, right? That'll help us out. So, yeah, go do your shopping. Get that one-day turnaround. Get mom something good. It is Mother's Day, so to all the mothers out there, I hope you enjoy it. I'm sure we will talk about it next week like we always do. Happy Cinco de Mayo. We missed May the 4th be with you as well. So hopefully all you Star Wars nerds out there enjoyed that. It's a fun little holiday. But, yes, happy Cinco de Mayo right now. Hopefully you did whatever white people do on that holiday. And, John, with all that being said, is there anything else?
Don't blame yourself when you can blame your brother.